boy arrived in a taxi on his own, 15 years old. Picture this, 15, he's a child. And I just remember seeing all the black bags in the car and him being on his own. He was like a rabbit in the headlights. He just didn't know what was happening to him, you know. That's when I knew there's something wrong here. There's something wrong with this system, because you're allowing a 15-year-old boy to come to me on his own at night without representation. I was mortified. I was absolutely mortified. I felt sick, to be honest with you, because I've been there myself. I've seen that kind of negligence.
Chris Wilde was in care as a child. For several years now, he's worked in accommodation for children in care aged 16 and over. But the boy and his story arrived younger than that.
I took this boy, I took him upstairs to his bedroom, and I opened the door, and sorry, I get a bit emotional on this bit because it's something I've never, ever, ever witnessed. And I remember opening the door and just seeing a shocking, he was surprised, he was shocked, and I said, what's up with you? The room is good. It's a nice room for you. And he just looked at me and he said, you made the bed? I said, yes, I made the bed. And he said to me, I've never been anywhere in my life where the bed's been made, it's just been an empty mattress. And that broke me. It broke me. How is this possible? A 15-year-old boy, he's treated like a stray dog. And that will never, ever leave my mind. And that's what's wrong with our system.
For 5 months, Newsnight's been reporting on a twilight world. A world that sees children in care who are 16 and 17 housed in accommodation that's unregulated and can put them at risk. These homes are hiding in plain sight on residential streets across the country. Now we can reveal that across England and Wales, councils are also putting much younger children into these premises. Home manager Chris Wilde has seen a rise in requests. In the homes where he now works, he says he turns them down.
I can't keep him safe. It is things of nightmares. You know, 15, you're young, but at 15 you might be in care with an 18-year-old boy who's been arrested for some kind of sinister things, or he's affiliated with county lines, drugs. At 15, 18, you're easily groomed, aren't you? You're easy pickings. It's unsafe for any young person of that age to be in a surrounding of older young people from the care sector.
And we're not just talking about 15, we're also talking about 14, 13, 12, 11 sometimes.
Yeah. It's scary.
We surveyed every Children's Services Authority. 77% of councils in England and Wales replied. Our research suggests that these placements are on the rise, and that on any given night, more than 100 children in England and Wales under 16 are in an unregulated placement. And that's a conservative estimate. It's likely the number is now closer to 200 per night. From London to the northeast of England, from West Wales to East Anglia, children under 16 have been placed in accommodation that isn't registered as a children's home with Ofsted or the Welsh Care Inspectorate.
Throughout this series, we've become aware of loopholes and grey areas when it comes to housing kids in care. Up to now, the most troubling has been that from age 16, they can be put up legally in accommodation that's unregulated and uninspected, as long as it's only offering them support and not care. Surprisingly, it also turns out there is no law against putting under 16s in this kind of supported accommodation if it doesn't provide care, though Ofsted discourages it.
I think we would expect the children to be in places that are regulated, registered with us and then regulated. And that's not supported accommodation. Local authorities can, in very exceptional circumstances, place a child in an unregulated setting. They should do this very rarely, very carefully, and they should make sure that the child has the support that they need. But that is not a long-term solution for any child.
It's immoral, it's inhumane, and I think they should be punished with heavy fines. I always think if you put a child into an unregistered house and that child is abused, or that child is damaged or hurt, or sold off to paedophiles or county lines, then you're complicit.
Newsnight has seen referrals sent to providers within the last year by councils in England trying to place under-16s in unregulated accommodation at very short notice. We've been told the information about the children in need is often of poor quality and out of date, with significant details omitted. One says,
urgently seeking accommodation for a 15-year-old young person to commence from today.
It says the child can be placed anywhere and requires
10 hours of support each week,
much of the focus around
keeping child X safe.
Another is
urgent for tomorrow.
It seeks a placement
with a high level of support
for a 15-year-old in an area
which would allow him to maintain his school place.
And another says
24/7 staff supported accommodation placement with waking night staff needed for 14-year-old male tonight.
This is
while a longer term regulated placement is sourced.
But it's never temporary. It's once that person has gone, he's gone. The problem's gone for the social worker, the problem's gone for whoever is looking after him. Bad companies who would get referrals, they won't even bother reading the incident reports, they won't even bother looking at this person's age or anything. All they want to see is how much you're paying me for this young person.
We've seen government research showing children as young as 11 have been housed in unregulated accommodation. Councils say they use the sector for children with complex needs whose previous placements have broken down, or as a last resort because they can't find anywhere else. Remember, unregulated accommodation is only supposed to support children towards independence, not to offer them any care.
Quite frankly, it is shocking. I don't think anybody would think that an 11-year-old should be in that sort of provision.
Or that an 11-year-old isn't going to need to receive care, not support, which seems to be the grey area in this unregulated accommodation.
Absolutely. 11, 12, 13, 14 and even 15, 16-year-olds need care. And I think we would want the provision to be meeting both their care and accommodation needs and to be registered and regulated and overseen by us.
Newsnight can reveal details of some of the more extreme places we've been told children are being housed. In caravans, barges, hotels. One council was even considering moving a child into a tent. When we called our series Hidden Children's Homes, we thought we were investigating a sector that was operating legally, but with some severe failings. What we've discovered since is that there are providers operating illegally.
They aren't just offering support to these kids, but care too. They're running de facto children's homes that are hidden from view, and councils are placing children in them. These homes should be registered, and Ofsted has told Newsnight it's uncovered around 100 such illegal homes in the last year alone. Ofsted told us, after tip-offs often from police or neighbours, it's carried out around 150 investigations into unregistered premises apparently looking after children. It ruled a fifth were acting appropriately and didn't need to be registered. The 100 or so that were breaking the law and should have been registered with Ofsted included some unconventional settings, Airbnbs and holiday-let static caravans. Even when the accommodation is conventional, the staff sometimes aren't.
We've certainly found a child with 2 or 3 people who wouldn't have had the background in childcare that I'm sure your viewers would expect. Their background might be more in the security industry, and perhaps secure transport or the secure estate. And that is absolutely not what we would want for children.
During our investigation of this sector, the police, many local authorities and even some of the homes themselves have demanded change. The Office of the Children's Commissioner told us most of the calls to their helpline flagging concerns about children in unregulated accommodation relate to under-16s. But the evidence of what's happening to these vulnerable children is now on the desk of the 3rd Minister since we started the series. Many feel not enough is being done. They just carry on trying to make a difference to the individuals caught up in the care system.
What happened to that boy?
He started to like himself. He started to trust the system again, because it just let him down. The trivialities of putting a duvet cover on a duvet and maybe putting a chocolate bar and a bottle of water in his bed for when he arrives. To everyone else in the world, it's no big deal, but to him, for that look on his face, it was like giving him £1 million. And that's why I do what I do.
report by Katie Razzall. Once again, we invited somebody from the government to join us to discuss the situation. No one was available. In a statement, the children and families, Michelle Donnellan, said it was unacceptable for any child to be placed in provision that does not meet their needs. Local authorities are required by the law to ensure that accommodation for children in care is high quality and, most importantly, safe. She said her department was working with Ofsted and others to consider where further action should be taken to ensure children are in safe and secure accommodation.